Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Joining me, you know her, you love her. She's back from Portugal. Give it up for Chelsea Leite.
Hello.
You spent a whole month in Portugal, is that right?
I did, yeah.
How was it? I mean, the photos you took looked absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I miss not being near an ocean sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
shout out to the Great Lakes, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's not
the same.
It's not really the same,
No,
but
yeah.
it looked fantastic.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was like part vacation, part family reunion, part my sister got married. So it was the best. And like I hadn't taken a real vacation in a very long time. So like just being able to like not work for that long was like so great. It was much needed. But anyway, if you're ever, in need of a good vacation spot, go to the Azores because it's the best. I'm biased because I'm from there, but it's fine.
No, I mean, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How was your sister's wedding? Did you MC or do a speech?
I did, yeah. So I was the maid of honor, and she also asked me to MC because everyone in my family is like, "Oh, you never let us come to any of your comedy shows." So I'm like, "Yeah, for good reason." But so she asked me to MC because like that's just my personality, and so I did. And I was very nervous for it. I was more nervous for the speech than I was for the MCing. But both went really well. I got lots of compliments from everybody at the wedding that they enjoyed it. I did like a whole bit where I like roasted my brother-in-law for like 5 minutes, which I thought was fun. So yeah, it was just like a bunch of things that all came together in the end. And it was really fun. And her wedding was like spectacular and gorgeous. Like literally like Bridgerton come to life, like walk down the aisle to like a string quartet Beauty and the Beast moment. Like it was nuts. Yeah. And it because like it's in Portugal, like everything was like more accessible and like cheaper to do. So she was able to like have this like what in Canada would have been like an extravagant wedding, but like on like a more reasonable budget. And so it was spectacular. Like it was so good. Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm a big fan of the destination wedding now that I've been to one.
Yeah. They're so great.
Yeah. I was a little skeptical, but last year I went to Tobago, like Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
For my friend's wedding. And he's from there originally.
Yeah.
So like that was amazing. And
it's fun. Yeah. And like knowing, so like both my sister and my mom work as like destination wedding travel consultants. So like hearing them like talk about all these places you can have weddings and like what you can do and like all this stuff, it's like, and it's cheaper. It's like, yeah, like makes 100% sense.
Are they really travel consultants?
Yeah, they are. Like that's their job.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So little tidbit about my family, but yeah, so
no, that's cool. If I said that about my family, that would be like the most sarcastic I would ever be. Like, oh, they do that anyway. That's just my style. All right. So did you get a chance to watch some of the Olympics?
I did. Yeah, I watched most of it because honestly, I was 1, jet lagged, and 2, just like had nothing else to do. So I was invested.
I mean, we talked to, last week I did the episode, we record this on Thursday. It comes out Friday. So we didn't get to comment on the phenomenal play of Steph Curry and how close the amazing, the women's game was with France. I talked a little bit about it on Freddie's pod, The Confederacy of Dunks, but let's get your take on this. How did you feel watching Steph's greatness unfold in front of your eyes?
Like conflicted because not gonna lie, like I'm one of those Canadian people that's like, let me see USA lose because I'm petty. And also the whole like Joel Embiid thing I did not agree with. So I was like, you know what? But then like Steph Curry is one of my favorite players of all time, if not my favorite NBA player of all time. And like watching him be able to make those shots. I mean, it's the same reason that Caitlin Clark has so much appeal. Like watching those circus shots go in, and even more so when it like is with the game on the line, is so exciting. And so I was like definitely invested in that. And the fact that it was Steph just made it better. But yeah, it was very enjoyable to watch that sequence. And I mean, Steph Curry, like, you just want the guy to succeed. So I was bought in by the end. I was like, you know what? Fine.
I agree. It was an emotional journey
Mhm.
between watching Canada lose,
Yeah.
which sucked, and then being like, okay, now I want to buy a Serbian flag on Amazon and just like be
Yeah.
Serbian now. And
Yeah.
then they lost, but I was rooting for them the whole time, and it was very
That was so close. I loved that game. I was like,
phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And then I agree. I didn't like Joel Embiid, and I enjoyed every time he was booed. But then when Steph took over at the end of both those games, I was like, I love this man.
Mm-hmm.
Give him his flowers. And I've talked a bit about how, like, the Warriors need to trade their young talent. Like, I haven't I said this on Confederacy of Dunks. It's hard being on Raptors Republic twice a week.
Yeah.
No, but I was like, I wouldn't say that about most teams or maybe any team, but like they need to do what it takes to win another championship with Steph.
Yeah.
Like it would be awful if he was not on at least a championship contending team. You know what I mean? Like he needs to be in the thick of it. And I feel like a lot of people could feel that way about LeBron and about KD as well. But I feel the strongest about Steph. I really do. I don't know why. That's how I feel.
Well, for me, the reason why is I think his story is just a little bit more like, I don't know, like he went to a 4-year college. So he wasn't projected to be like this much of a superstar. They're like, oh, this is a good player. But like, you think about these other superstars where at the beginning you're like, yeah, they're going to be a superstar. They were the best player when they were young or whatever, right? And like with Steph, like, and then he also has the Toronto connection and you have like all of that. I don't know. He's just like, his game is like so fun to watch. He like revolutionized the 3-point, part of the game. He's just like, I don't know. I just like a lot of what he does really just speaks to like all the things that I love about basketball, which is like good storylines, good playing, show-stopping moments, just like being talented and like not being too cocky about it, but like also being confident. Like I think all of that is just why Steph is like, I'm like, yeah, I can root for you.
Yeah, all his celebrations are really fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I love when he, the night thing is like not necessarily my favorite, but when he does it, it does have impact.
Yeah.
I do love when he shoots the ball and then he runs off before the ball even goes in the net.
Yeah, that one's fun.
That's actually my favorite Steph Curry thing.
Yeah.
But also too, he's just like, all three of those guys seem to be like nice guys. You know what I mean? Like they're nice guys, they're family oriented. I mean, even though Kevin Durant doesn't have like a wife and kids yet, like he's, he loves his mom. She's the real MVP. And she's out everywhere he is. And man, those three are special. I'm going to miss them.
Yeah. And like KD just like randomly tweeting nonsense at like 4 a.m. Paris time and like getting the trolls, like respect. Like I can't.
Yeah.
He's chronically online. I'm chronically online. Like it's funny.
Yeah. I just feel like if there's an NBA team owner who could just get the three of those guys on one team again.
Yeah, well, like the thing I was talking about yesterday on a podcast, I was on a podcast talking about Canada, and we got into this whole like 3-on-3 thing, and I was like, Steph, LeBron, KD, and a random 3-on-3 team. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, that would be incredible. That's the 3-on-3 I'd want to see. I've been very critical of the 3-on-3 event.
Yeah,
at the Olympics, very critical of it.
It's very different. Like I would understand people who like 5-on-5 maybe not necessarily liking it. It's like for me, it's like emotionally exhausting.
How so?
Because like you watch and it's so like fast paced and gritty, and like a team can be up and then the other team comes and then literally sudden death overtime. Like in literally 5 seconds, your entire game is gone and you lose because someone made a 2-point shot. Like
you're the only one I know who's into it at all.
Yeah. I just like
I found it so boring.
Oh really? I just thought it was very like, it's very fast paced, but I don't know. I think it's just, I got invested because of Canada's team and just like getting to like know the players a little bit more and their stories and like how much they work to get this team off the ground. So I was like, yeah, I'll tune in. And then watched it and I was like, oh, this is like kind of nuts. Like it's physical, it's fast, and I don't know, like I'm not sure, it's just, it's different, but yeah, it was when they lost, I think I was the most sad when that team lost because it just seemed like so unfair.
Yeah.
Because it was just literally like overtime. And I was like, 2 seconds ago we were winning. Like,
well, it just happened so fast, like you said. Like I don't know. I felt like it almost happened so fast that I didn't get emotionally invested.
Okay. Yeah, that's the other side of it. That's so fair.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just old, and that's fine too. Maybe I'm just old. Okay. I want to ask you, we're going to talk more NBA stuff and some Raptor stuff, but I want to ask you, were there any other Olympic highlights? There are many, but which ones stood out to you? What did you enjoy about these Olympics?
Like
last time we got to talk about it.
Yeah, like meme wise or like actual sports wise?
Well, you could do both.
Okay, my favorite Olympic like meme / joke was the guy who was obsessed with the muffins. Did you hear about this guy?
No.
Oh my gosh, it was like a full thing on TikTok. So this guy, I think he was like Swedish or something. There was like this one muffin that they always made in the Olympic Village like cafeteria, and it was like a double chocolate muffin, and this guy became obsessed with it, and he would like take them all and like bring them back to his room, and then he started posting TikToks about the muffin, and then the muffin just went viral, and everybody was like, oh my god, the Olympic muffin, the muffin. And then he would like post himself every day going to get his daily muffin, and then one day there wasn't any muffins, and he was like, oh, there's no muffins. And then other countries started like posting about the muffin. So like one TikTok that I saw that was funny was like one of his competitors from another sport took a chocolate muffin and then went to the Swedish Olympic Village and like put it in front as like a sacrifice. He was like, this is a sacrifice to like better my chances in our event, and like left it just like on the ground in front of the Olympic Village. But yeah, this guy went nuts for the muffins. And then New York Times posted the recipe for the muffin.
Okay, so that I saw, and then I didn't understand the connection.
Oh, no.
That is insane. I'm not on TikTok. That's my fault.
Okay. I feel like every time we record this podcast, I like go into like a TikTok, like like rabbit hole of like some wild thing on TikTok, because this definitely happened the last time.
Yeah, well, I mean, in all fairness, I'm the last person not on TikTok, so... That's
I'm chronically on TikTok. But yeah, that was probably, and like, don't get me wrong, Pommel Horse guy was great, but then he got a little too mainstream, where like the muffin, and then people started putting like videos of like that song that's like the Muffin Man, but it's like I don't know, it's like this cover, it's like, do you know the Muffin Man, but it's like different. I don't know,
cover.
Yeah, something like that.
Muffin Man ends up being like top 10 like Billboard chart.
Yeah, basically. And so, yeah, that's what everybody was making the TikToks, was like the Muffin Man. And then when he started competing and doing his events, people would like put his thing. He was a swimmer. Started putting his like muffins and stuff up.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
World.
Yeah, it's a whole
day I joined TikTok.
Yeah, because of the muffin guy.
For the muffins.
Yeah, for the muffin guy. But yeah, and the muffins looked incredible. Like, they looked really good.
Maybe I'll bake the muffins.
Yeah.
And then I'll film it. And then that could be my first TikTok.
Your TikTok. And I would have brought you to muffin TikTok.
Yeah. And then people would be like, this is really off-brand for you. We don't
You're
know
like
you for muffins.
Yeah. We don't know you as in the Olympic swimming double chocolate muffin community.
Oh my god, that's
unreal. So that was definitely my favorite meme of the Olympics, and I love that there's always one. Like, there's always one person who kind of like goes viral for something during the Olympics. Pommel Horse guy was great, like I said, but he went a little too mainstream for my taste.
Wow.
And then in terms of like sports, I got really into rugby the first week, and when Canada won that silver medal, I was invested. Like, you couldn't act like I couldn't tell you what the rules of rugby are and like how it worked, but I was screaming at the TV. So that was probably like, other than the basketball, which obviously I'm like into and know and was excited to watch, like that was the most invested in anything that I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you know that famous image of the surfer? I think his name's Gabriel Medina, where he's like in the air and his surfboard's in the air.
Oh yes, and he's like,
yeah, and he's like pointing.
Yeah.
So I love this image, right? And then I looked him up, and he is so hot.
Oh, like, I thought you were gonna say he was like racist.
No. That would be so funny. Oh my! I love how that is the same expression for me.
You're like, I looked him up and I was so excited to be his fan, and then that's where I thought the story was going, and then he was hot, which is great news. I love when people are hot.
Tone for me. This is why I'm single. We just solved it.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, he's really attractive. I was like, wow. Nice. He's got a lot of face, if that makes sense.
Ooh,
like there's just a lot
good
of
face card.
Yeah.
Good face card.
But good, yeah.
Also, like apparently these days it's a requirement to be the hottest person alive if you want to run track.
I know. They're all like supermodels. They're all stunning.
Men, women, whoever, these people have the nicest faces I've ever seen in my life. Beautiful hair. Obviously they're athletic, so you know they're like in shape, but like faces, hair, like stunning. I was like, oh man, I guess running is good for you. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's also like a charismatic sport. Like it's one of the sports where you can really show off your personality as well.
Yeah.
And they really do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not like, what's his name? Niles?
Noah Lyles?
Niles.
Niall Horan, let's go. No, Noah Lyles.
Yeah. He was giving me very like early Kanye West vibes.
Yeah. I was with him in the beginning when it came to like the you're not the world champions because you're in the NBA thing. Like I was with him for that. And then very quickly it was like,
backtrack that a little bit.
Yeah.
Australian breakdancer Halloween costume. I'm trying to find it.
Nice. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Let me know. I just feel like that's a really good, easy costume for me to pull off.
Yeah. There's gonna be so many good ones. I feel like this year, like there's a lot of personality in the Olympics.
Yeah, I bet there'll be a few Halloween costumes that come out.
I'm gonna dress as a drone.
Just with like the Canadian flag and like soccer stickers on it.
Exactly. Like around the Halloween party.
That's so good. That's so good. That would win.
Yeah,
that would win any contest. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about some NBA stuff. Blah blah blah. Switching gears here. Looking into the season ahead of us, you know, now that we have some hindsight, you know, this is mid-August. That's why, you know, we're just having fun here. It's deep August. Looking at ahead in terms of like the teams that have made moves in free agency, which ones are you the most excited and or intrigued to watch this coming season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like with Toronto being like both of our hometown teams, like now that they kind of have that like Scotty, RJ, Emmanuel Quickly thing locked in, like I feel like getting a good look at them, not just like in that chunk of season after the two were traded, because like it's a sample size, but it's not a full indication of how it's going to go. I'm excited to see them from the start of the season and be a little bit more used to things and see how that ends up starting to develop. And then in terms of like around the league free agency, I feel like I'm so like out of the loop right now because it's deep August. But yeah, I mean, Gary Trent Jr. went to Milwaukee. That's interesting. Him like reuniting with Dame and that like seeing if that experiment ends up working. I feel like that is on a very short timeline because it was supposed to be instant gratification and it wasn't. So that is very intriguing to see this year, and you know, curious to see if they are able to like get anything going. I'm excited to see Wemby year 2. I know I kind of like taken off from the free agent moment.
No, that's all good.
I'm trying to think who else was a big. I feel like see, I'm so used to like the past few years we had like a big star being like, I need to go to a new team, and this offseason's low-key kind of been boring, question mark.
Well, Clay leaving Golden
Oh
State.
yes, see, I keep forgetting that.
And Paul George going to
Yeah.
the 76ers.
Oh,
those
see,
are like the big moves.
Those are the two big ones, and I was also fully checked out that week. So
that's fair. You were in Portugal.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So Clay to the Mavericks. Yeah, that's a huge one. That's going to be really, really exciting to see him, like, not only in a whole new like no, it's still the Western Conference, right?
Yeah.
Texas is like in the middle. It's weird. Anyway, him with a whole new team.
It's not the Pacific now, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a different.
He's in a new division. Yeah, new division.
Conference. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like him and like Luca and like seeing how that ends up going, like it's very intriguing.
It's so annoying that I have to become a Mavericks fan.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing too. Is like
I feel like I know how, like, a wife of an NBA player feels like when they get traded and then they're like, oh my god, I have to care about fucking Utah now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or whatever it is. You're just like, oh, I'm just joking, obviously, but
yeah, and then Paul George, I'm like, I kind of root against the 76ers regardless. So unfortunately now he's the ops. Well, I mean, he was the ops before because the Clippers and the Raptors have like a weird.
No, the 76ers deserve the villain edit of the NBA. Absolutely. They do. I think, like, it's funny. You mentioned Milwaukee and Denver, and it's interesting how we're in this era where, like, we don't have these back-to-back champions like we did before. Yep. And I feel like, every year that these teams are like further and further away from that point, the more I'm getting these like hot mess vibes. And I actually feel like the Bucks and Denver might be on the verge of like a disappointing season.
Yeah.
Because the Dame experiment, it's not bad. I can see why they did it.
Yeah.
But I think they traded away too much of their defense, and then the whole coaching fiasco. And I don't know what's going on there, how they feel about Doc Rivers now, but it's like, it's just not good. And then even like on the Nuggets side, like they picked up Westbrook this year, and I'm just like, man, like, I don't know why you would think he is the answer to anything, respectfully. Like, I
respectfully,
think, like, because I don't think like Westbrook's like a bad guy, but he's just like, he's such a weird fit, and he's been on a different team almost every year for like the last 6 years, except for the Clippers. He was able to do, I think, 2 seasons with them, or at least 1.5 or something. But like, I mean, I just don't know what Denver is thinking either. Plus, I'm concerned about the fact that Jamal Murray struggled in the playoff, in the Olympics as well. And I just feel like these two teams might be taking steps back instead of steps forward towards the championship.
And I agree with that. And I also think that like the NBA is getting so equal in terms of talent. Like so many more teams have better talent, and the talent is like on different levels that like it's so much more about luck now, about like matchups and like who you end up getting in the end. And because like, don't get me wrong, we all thought Denver was going to win last year, but then like Minnesota came out of nowhere, because we all know Anthony Edwards is like the next big thing. But like at the same time, like it's just about how you end up performing on the day, because like those teams are pretty evenly matched on a lot of things. And then you had the Boston Celtics, who like have been a championship contender for like a couple of years now, and it hasn't worked out until this time. So like it was literally just about circumstance and like how they were able to show up on the day. So there's so many more factors now than just getting the best talent available. Like it's really about matchups. It's really about, I think scouting is so much more important now than maybe it was, like game planning, stuff like that. And like defense is going to start, I think, having like a resurgence in the NBA, because like, truth be told, we don't see as much of it comparatively to like, the WNBA or like other stuff, because, for whatever reason. But yeah, I think it's just like so much harder now to win a championship. Like we're not in the era where like every good player is on one team and like there's some teams that don't have a big superstar. Like every team has like a not just a big superstar, but like a good player.
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard.
I love that you brought this up. I have a whole theory about this.
Okay.
So I think this new era that we're in, right? Where, you know, in Adam Silver, you know, bringing on this new CBA and these fucking aprons and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I think the reason why the NBA has moved in this direction is this is a little conspiracy hat. Okay. I believe the NBA is deliberately moving into this direction because of sports betting.
That's fair.
Because I think in the past, the NBA relied on these superstars to market the league, right? And dynasties have traditionally been very good for the NBA, right? Like, because you have the diehards like us who are going to watch the games no matter what. And then you have the casuals who want to see the greats. But now it's like, it's not going to be about that. It's not going to be about like watching a player win 3. Can they win 3 in a row or anything like that? Like, it's not like this generation of players are not going to have, not that they won't have multiple championships, but it's not going to be that type of legacy. It's going to be so hard to do that. And I think the casuals that they want to bring in are more about placing casual bets, prop bets, than it is about like watching these dynasties. So I feel like there's a massive shift, and I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. And you're right, like predictability ruins sports betting because you can't make good bets if you know who's going to win. Like, you're not going to get good odds.
KD's on the when KD was on the Warriors, it's like, you're not. Why would you bet against them? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely like, I agree with what you're saying for sure.
Thank you. Okay, that's my little theory there. I hate that. I hate that I have to be a Mavericks fan. What else did I want to say here? And it'll come to me. The NBA Cup schedule is out. I don't know how much we care. I will say this. I think this whole thing is stupid. I don't like it. I understand the want and need to make the earlier part of the regular season, quote unquote, more interesting.
Yeah.
But I think a tournament with absolutely zero stakes isn't it. Like, I feel like I wish there were some sort of playoff incentive to it. Like, the winner of the NBA Cup gets home court advantage in the playoffs, regardless of where they place. Something like that. Like, you need to put something more at stake. I don't care about them winning more money. Like, I truly do not care about how much money NBA players make. It drives me insane. I don't engage in that. Like, I just feel like the fact that there's no stakes and we're just pretending like this means something is ridiculous. I hate the banner that the Lakers got. I think it's so foolish. I mean, LeBron barely acknowledged it. Right. I mean, and how could he? It's so ridiculous. Anyway.
I agree. I think like
it's so dumb.
I think like the reason they did it is because they could see it working in other leagues, but I think the NBA is such like a wrong league for something like this because the only way to incentivize these like in-season tournaments is the money aspect of it, and NBA players simply don't need any more money. Like with the WNBA, obviously like $500,000 is a lot of money to them. And then
it's more than their salary.
Yeah. And I think the WNBA did it right where like they also have now brought in this huge like charitable aspect into it. And like every team in the WNBA during their in-season tournament has like a charity that like every time they like score like an assist or a rebound or whatever, more money is getting put into these charities. And so it's bringing a little bit more of like a community aspect into it. But at the same time, like on a player level, you also want to just like make more money. And then they've made it, they kind of went closer to the NBA formula where it's like a 2-week period. And then, you know, they end up like doing a game or whatever. And even at the same time, it even took years for the WNBA to like get people invested in the Commissioner's Cup tournament, which is like their version. And the only reason that I think people are, it's because like you want these players to succeed, you want them to get paid more because we all know they deserve to get paid more. And then when you come to like the European leagues, how they do it, they just throw so much money at them that's like so much more than all of them get paid that like it makes it worth it. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen videos of like European basketball leagues where there's like torches and like friggin' crazy shit happening. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Sorry. Swearing on your podcast. But like Europe goes like nuts for this kind of stuff. Like, so in that sense, it works for other leagues, but like the NBA doesn't. Like, nobody cares how much money they make. Like you said, there's no incentive for it to like, you know, mean anything to them. And then at the end of the day, they only want to win because it's regular season games that like count towards their score. And like, honestly, like some of them were like, yeah, cool, I don't have to play an extra game. Like, that's awesome. Because at the end of the day, these guys are playing like 82 games regular season and then doing the playoffs. Like, that's a lot of time. Like, even getting them to play one extra game for the finals that doesn't count towards the regular season is like a lot to ask.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
There's just like, it just doesn't make sense. And like, I get like the confusion was very similar to the WNBA in its first year, like the in-season tournament. We were all like, what's happening? But like, I feel like there's no way to build up that excitement for the NBA because like simply there's really no way to make people care. And then you talk about all these like playoff implications, blah, blah, blah. Like that just gets so complicated when you talk about, okay, but what about this other team that earned home court advantage? You're just going to strip that away from them? Like all of this other stuff, all of these other things that like I heard someone suggest like, oh, the winner of the in-season tournament makes it to the playoffs regardless of whatever. But then I'm like, how do you like adjust for that? You know, like it's just, it doesn't, there's no way to like simply and effortlessly like give a good incentive unless it's like a draft pick or like a whatever, right? Like, I don't know. It's weird and just waste of time and money.
I agree with what you're saying. And you made a really good point about how like home court advantage wouldn't necessarily be fair to the teams that do earn home court advantage. But I just feel like there's got to be something at stake here. There's got to be a reason why I, as a fan, should care. And like, I know some people might say like, oh, well, like the last guy on the bench doesn't make a lot of money and it's a life-changing amount of money for him. And I agree, that's true, but that's not what all of this is really about. So I just feel like they got to figure out a way, because I think like in the WNBA, another reason, like you brought up a lot of good points, but another reason why I think it works is because the season itself is shorter. So like last year, I thought the Commissioner's Cup was like very successful because it ended up being, you know, the Liberty and the Aces. And that ended up being a pivotal point in what turned into, or what was turning into, a bit of a rivalry between those two teams. So and that ended up being like a finals preview, which was really nice. This year, I think it was less effective, but I also think the Olympic break had something to do with that. But yeah, I agree. I just feel like, you know, we'll keep it going. You know, I'm sure the NBA will figure it out, but I remain yet to be intrigued by this. But you know, they announced it again and they're promoting it. The NBA Cup it's better than in-season tournament, but it's not the championship.
No, it's now the Emirates NBA Cup.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't just also call it the Commissioner's Cup.
Because they wanted to get a nice sponsor on there.
But they could call it the Emirates Commissioner's Cup.
Oh, maybe it was trademarked? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that's a better name.
Yeah.
Because like a total casual wouldn't know the difference between NBA Cup and NBA Championship.
That's fair, yeah. Oh, so do they get a cup?
I hope not.
Like, do they get like a trophy?
Didn't they get rings last year? I don't think they got a cup.
Yeah, so why are you calling it the NBA Cup if there's no cup?
This is a great point. I didn't even think of that. Maybe they will get a cup.
Maybe.
Maybe it'll be that little tiny one that Kelsey Plum got a couple years back.
Yeah. But the thing with the Commissioner's Cup, like in the WNBA, the trophy is sick. Like it's rose gold.
It is now. Yeah.
But that was the MVP thing. But the actual trophy that you get,
it's
the really actual nice. Trophy that you get when you win the Commissioner's Cup is sick. It's rose gold. It's like basically a crown. It's made by Tiffany, which I think is like a sleigh. Mm-hmm. And like it's just cute. Like it's a little cutesy thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like badass when you win it. You're just like with this rose gold cup. But like the NBA, they didn't even get a cup. Like, why are you calling it the NBA Cup?
Well, maybe the Emirates airline will
it's just a little
come up with something. Yeah.
Also,
anyway. Sponsored by Emirates Airlines. Wouldn't it be exciting if they did it in Dubai?
The time zone implications would be not good for me, but yeah. We're going to be like 3 a.m. and we're like sitting here like
they don't have to do it they could do it
well, because you need fans, so they're gonna do it in prime time there, but like then they'll
get fans.
Yeah, they'll get fans, but like if you're doing it at like 3 a.m. Dubai time, you're not really gonna get
fans. I don't know the actual time zone difference. Is it like 9 hours or something?
I have no idea. I'm trying to remember what it was like with like Qatar doing, I don't know, but anyway, it's a time zone difference that you would have to account for.
Okay, it's 5:26 p.m. here as we're recording this. It's 1:26 a.m. in Dubai. So it could be like the Olympics where it's like evening their time and it's daytime our time. And
yeah, but then you have
on a
everyone
weekend.
Work. Well, I guess. I don't know. Like I feel like they would want it to be prime time in America because those are the people who are like A, betting on it, which I hate that's my first thing that I think about, and B, just like for viewership numbers. I feel like viewership numbers are important for like
why
analytics.
Do you have to ruin my dreams?
Sorry. I just like
they could have built a basketball court on the beach. Okay.
Oh, that would be sick.
Come on.
That would be sick.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Adam Silver, I have ideas.
Yeah, call us.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a bit about the Raptors here. Kind of circling back to free agency and the fact that there are still free agents available, which I didn't realize. So, when I'm just going to be honest, I did not realize that there are still free agents available, but it makes sense. And I feel like some of these guys are somewhat on the fringes of possibly still being in the league or not being in the league, but some of these names are decent names that could end up being solid pickups for the Raptors if we were so inclined. So I'll give people a few names here.
Yes.
One that I personally like is Bismack Biyombo. I think he would be a really great like third center off the bench for us. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, we don't have one of those.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. And he's available, and you could probably sign him for a minimum or close to a minimum. JaVale McGee is still out there, although I think it might be done for him. Tristan Thompson is only 33 years old. And
really?
Yeah, according to this Bleacher Report article,
I thought he was like 40.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I thought he was basically retired. And I also thought that that's why he wasn't on Team Canada. But he's only 33. And
so fooling around gets you. Yeah. Fooling around.
baby mama drama. Another player who, okay, I promise you this Bleacher Report article is not out of date. This was August 13th, 2024. Right. Evan Fournier, not on a team right now.
Interesting, given the Olympics.
Yeah. Evan Fournier, I just assumed he was on a team.
Yeah, I didn't know which one, but
unless Bleacher Report is full of lies.
No,
I promise you.
I feel like somebody's gonna pick him up now.
somebody has to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he was on the Knicks last, and the Knicks didn't pick him up, and maybe he was just he got traded he was part of the Pistons trade that happened
And then they let him
mid-season.
go. They waived him.
And then
I
they
remember
waived
that.
him, and he has yet to re-sign with the team. I mean, it's possible he was just like, let me focus on the Olympics, and then
And
we
then
can
we'll
circle
figure
back
this
to
out.
this.
Yeah.
But he's still available. He's 30.
Interesting.
He's 31. His last salary, it says, was 18.9 million. I imagine he might be available for less if he hasn't been picked up yet.
No, yeah.
Evan Fournier was very solid. Very solid. He was probably one of the best players in FIBA, if we're being honest. Now, I don't think that's going to translate to the NBA fully, but
still got some hops in him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be looking at that. Another player that's available, Marcus Morris Sr. next. I could care less about him. I'm sorry. His most recent team was the Cavs. His salary was just under 313,000.
That's it?
Less than a Toronto condo. Yep. He's 34.
Why did I think it was even possible for them to get paid that low amount of money?
Well, he'll be motivated for the in-season tournament. Yeah. I mean,
that's wild.
He was
with still a lot of
last. Was dealt to Philadelphia. Oh wait, sorry. Morris started last season with the Clippers, but was dealt to the 76ers in early November. I can't believe that was only last year, the James Harden trade.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that feels so much longer ago.
Yeah.
Wow, these two love trading together. So then he went to the Sixers. And then he got traded again to the Spurs, who bought out his salary after that. So he's bounced around quite a bit in the last year. Still available. Justin Holiday is available. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know a ton about Justin Holiday. Who else is available? Lonnie Walker the fourth. Markelle Fultz is available. That's kind of surprising. Markelle Fultz is 26 years old.
Wow.
And he is not currently. He was on the Magic last year. Yeah, he was the 2017 number 1 overall pick.
Wow. Life comes at you fast.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I mean, his last salary was 17 mil, but I feel like if a team was like, look, like he could be a backup point guard and maybe he needs a new environment and let's give him a chance. I'm not sure. But I just wanted to bring this up because I'm like, there's a few very available guys out there. And if there was a world where the Raptors could pick up Bismack Biyombo and Evan Fournier, that's exciting to me.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes against their current philosophy, though, of like really only getting guys who are like young and stuff, other than Garrett Temple, who's like the team dad. Like,
that's
I don't know.
Well, yeah, but our centers aren't necessarily young, right? Like,
no, because but then
young and Kelly Olynyk isn't young.
But then, how many old people is their cap? Not old, because none of these people we're talking about are old, because they're in their late 20s and early 30s.
Okay, well, that makes sense to me in terms of Evan Fournier. Like, maybe there's a different team that's a better fit for him. But I like picking up Bismack Biyombo as our center. Because we haven't really, like you said, we haven't really had that. And as much as I love Chris Boucher, he has not appeared to be a good fit on this current iteration of the roster. I feel like Darko isn't really utilizing him.
Yeah.
And
so like, why?
He's a bit undersized at that position. Yeah. So I feel like someone like him could take over the Chris Boucher role. And maybe Chris Boucher, I don't know who we trade Chris Boucher for, but it feels like, as much as I love him.
Yeah. It's just, it's hard. He like fell out of the rotation last year. And then like then there was all the Jonte Porter stuff.
Yeah.
And he kind of like Jonte Porter ended up being that like last center kind of guy, except for the few games that he started. But then you realize that like, was he, I don't know, because then there's all that nonsense about him playing or getting injured and whatever. But like, so then you like, and I think the plan was to try and like develop Porter into like a third or second option, because he was so young that I like fully believe that they were kind of like testing him out and were bought in on him, and then that all happened. And then so they're just kind of like strapped in this position now where they have Jakob, they have Kelly, and then like honestly I would need and now they have we just drafted him second last.
Jonathan.
Urush Shamshay.
Right.
Him. So now you have him who's going to be kind of in that like 905 / maybe coming up kind of thing. And then I also think that they're keeping their eyes on Christian Koloko and seeing if he gets cleared. So like,
right. But someone like Bismack could be a good mentor for those guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, I feel like it's so up in the air right now with like, who's that third option? Because I really don't think Chris Boucher is going to be like cracking into the rotation this year.
Yeah.
So then you're just wasting that roster spot just to like save him just in case you end up needing him. And then you have like a super young guy in Shamshay, and then you have Kelly and Jakob, who like are kind of different when you think about like actual style. So it's like, there's a lot of inconsistency in that position right now for the Raptors. They could use someone to kind of like back it up a little bit or to provide some.
It's hard to find a young big who is as dynamic as that position calls for. Right? Like it's hard to find a Zach Edey, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. But that's who this Raptors team needs.
Yeah.
But that player is not easy to find. So it's like while you're on the hunt for that type of player, I feel like there are people like him that you could bring in for 1 year, right? Like literally a 1 year minimum.
Yeah.
And they could be a mentor to the young talent you are trying to develop. And I really do hope Christian Koloko can come back.
Yeah, because I think that was the plan, was to develop Christian Koloko into like a dynamic center. Like he was
was it a blood clotting issue that he had?
Yeah, so it was like
that's what
COVID.
Chris Bosh had.
Yeah.
And Chris Bosh did not come back.
Yeah. So apparently he's like graduated to the next level of like the return to play thing. And so like I think teams are like keeping an eye on him, but he hasn't been cleared yet. And there's like all this protocol obviously that he needs to go through because that's a really serious issue. But yeah, like that's who they were hoping, I think, to develop into that like backup guy, and that obviously for very unfortunate reasons didn't work out. But yeah, it's just rough to see. Like I feel like everything they've just been throwing spaghetti at the wall and nothing's sticking.
It does like, feel that way, doesn't it?
Christian Koloko, nobody could have obviously predicted that, and that's very unfortunate. But then Jonte Porter, same thing, couldn't predict that. That happened. And then it's just like, it's like rough.
I want a spaghetti on the wall motif, but the spaghetti shapes like the Raptors logo. You know what I mean? Like you've got different, like almost like a macaroni plate, but it's
I have a friend who's an artist. Maybe I'll ask him if he can make a.
Oh, that would be so good.
I was like, hey, I have an idea for you. He was in this like competition where he had to make a painting out of French fries. So like, I feel like if anybody is up for the job, it's him. So
okay, well, keep me posted if that comes into fruition.
Next time I see him, I'm gonna be like, so spaghetti.
Okay, I think it's time to move on to our Hottie Highlight of the week. Are you ready?
100%. I love it.
So I sent you 2 options via Instagram.
Yeah.
One is Precious Achewa walking 2 lions by the tail. If you haven't seen this, you have to go online and see this. He is in the middle of I don't know where. He's truly in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in Africa. I apologize that I don't know specifically what country he's in. And he's holding 2 different lions by the tail. There it is. If on YouTube, Chelsea's put up the photo, and he's just going for a stroll. He's walking these lions literally like he's walking a dog. Like, it's truly unreal.
It's
like,
nuts. It's like, what are you doing, Precious?
A part of me is like, are the lions drugged? You know what I mean? Like, a part of me is like, are the lions on drugs?
Yeah. And one of them you can tell is a male. And it's like, okay, so I used to work at African Lion Safari, which is like a really weird tangent. But
what?
Like,
okay.
I learned like
I want to know all about this.
So yeah, I worked at African Lion Safari, which is like a theme park in Canada, and my job was to drive a school bus through the safari with people in it, obviously, and like give the tour of like.
You drove the school bus?
Yeah, I drove the school bus. That was my job. Yeah, it was. So now I know how to drive a school bus. It's like my cute little fun fact. But yeah, so I would like had to learn obviously about all of the animals, and I would like drive past because I would literally be driving this giant school bus and being like, on your left, you can see the giraffes. And like then I would say like a couple facts about giraffes, and then we would just like move on to the next one, right? So yeah, like I could tell, like now going back to Precious Achewa, like that's like a male and a female lion. You can tell the male's young because like his mane hasn't really grown in yet, but like you shouldn't be that close to them, especially if you're not trained. And I know he's not like a trained lion tamer, but like,
do we know that?
Oh, I mean, maybe.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
But like, that's not like one of these lions could very easily just turn around and like, that's nuts.
Also holding them by the tail.
The tail. I feel like one that's like kind of
he's not even just walking with them.
No, he's holding them by the tail. I like you sent that to me, and I hadn't seen it, and I was like,
it is truly wild. It is truly wild. So this is option
no
one.
pun intended.
No pun intended. I want to know more about. Okay, wait, your African Lion Safari experience.
Yes.
Like, how long did you work there?
I worked there for 2 summers. The summer after I graduated high school, and then the summer after I finished my first year of university.
So like, did like the monkeys like attack like your school bus every day?
Every day they would like piss on it. They would climb on it. They would climb in front, and I would have to drive with them on the car. Like we were trained to drive the school bus with them climbing all over the school bus, but also not killing them as we drove, obviously. So you had to like be trained specifically to drive through like the monkey part. And then they would like,
how much did you get paid for that? Like minimum wage?
Like very much minimum wage. Like I was 18 years old. Like it was not.
That is the wildest minimum wage job.
Yeah, it was my summer job. And then they would like, I would drive, and they would like hang off of the mirrors of the bus. And then at the end you had to stop, and like the monkey trainers would come and like kind of shoo the rest of them off of your thing if they were still there. And then you would drive into the next section. But yeah, it was minimum wage. They have like different incentives that we could like make more money from, but like yeah, for the most part it was a minimum wage job. And it was wild. I drove the school bus, the boat, and the train. That was like my job. And every day you would get there and you would figure out like what you were on that day.
I could talk to you for a whole hour just about this. I could interview you just about African Lion Safari.
Yeah, it was honestly like it was fun at the time. Like I wasn't complaining. The days were long and it was hot, but like at the same time, and I worked like 7 days a week, but like at the same time, it was like a chill job. Like all we did was drive around all day. Everybody was just like, I don't know, like it was just a bunch of like college kids. So like,
and you're all just having fun.
Yeah, you're all just like,
and the animals were good. Like they didn't like,
like I
didn't give you any trouble.
No, because I didn't really interact with the animals that much because like I was always like in the vehicle. But yeah, it was like cool. And then like
just the monkeys.
Yeah, but it was like on rainy days, like the park would like be empty. So we would just like, they still would make us drive around, but I would just like drive around and like look at lions and giraffes and stuff. And the giraffes were
drive around even if no one was in the school bus.
Yeah, because you never like, we had to keep the rotation going, like the order the same. So there was always like 3 or 4 buses at the same time. And so like if somebody got on, like even if 2 people got on your bus, I had to do the whole tour. So like sometimes like 2 people would get on and you do the whole thing, but then you'd have to keep going. So there was always like a bus coming at the right time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's always like my fun like tidbit to bring up is like, yeah, I worked at African Lights. And I had to wear the whole get up. Like I was fully in khaki.
Did you have the little hat?
Yeah. I had the hat. I was fully in khaki. I had a script that I had to study every night, and they like tested us on the script.
Oh my God.
It was nuts. It was like me and like so many like Guelph veterinarian students, because it was like in like around Cambridge. And then it was then that was my job, and you just like went and drove around on a school bus.
Well, that is quite the flex. That is quite the like interesting fun fact about me flex.
Yeah. I have a few of those.
You'll always have. That is
that one, and then my other one is that I had Zika virus.
Are they connected? Did
no.
that at okay.
No, I didn't. No, those are just my 2. Like sometimes I just bring up things in conversation, and my friends just like look at me like, "What are you like? What life?
Like, is this something you haven't processed yet in therapy?"
What, Zika virus? No. It's like, it was fully a time, but I was told I wasn't allowed to have children for 5 years. Like, it was wild.
Oh my God.
So it's just like, those are like some of my fun little facts. I have a few more, but I'm not gonna like, this is now like we've gone off on such a bit. We're not talking about basketball anymore.
No, we didn't even finish the Hottie Highlight of the Week segment. I haven't even given the other option. Okay, Chelsea, this is the thing. I was going to say this at the very end of the pod, but I mean, we're close to the end of the pod.
Yeah.
This is my last episode of the summer. Like, I'm going to come back in October and do more buckets and tea, because it's just like, there's not too much going on in the NBA right now in the basketball world. You need a break. And I'm still doing the WNBA stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So I thought, okay, let me take, like 2 months off of this.
Yeah.
And then come back in October. But I could do, well, let's call it deep September. Like, this is deep August.
Yeah.
We could do deep September, me just interviewing you about African lion safari and Zika virus.
Yeah.
Any other fun facts you have.
Yeah. I was also
like, a banter pod, as they call it.
Yeah. I was also a kids tour guide for like trips to Ottawa for a couple of years. I just have I have so much random lore. Like, if there's something about me, it's that I got some lore. Like,
look, if you're open to it, we can
let's do it. Yeah.
Deep September banter pod.
Yeah.
Chelsea Leite and like multiple jobs before her current fame and fortune.
Well, fame and fortune is a stretch, but I feel like, and like to bring, I guess to make it about basketball, like people ask me all the time, like how I got to this job that I'm doing now, like freelance writing about basketball. And it is the most random and like swervy road that like, I feel like I can't even give people advice, because like, I don't even know how I got here. So yeah,
that's actually good. We could both do that. We can talk about our paths and how we randomly ended up doing this.
Yeah, because I get asked, all people are like, how did you do it? Like, give me some advice. And I'm like, I truly don't even know what to tell you, because I went from working at African Lion Safari to doing this. Like, not one to the other. That wasn't point A, point B. Like, that was like point A, point like Z. But like, yeah, it's been a wild time. So yeah. Whew.
Wow. Well, that's just incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. For the sake of editing, I'm gonna start the segment over. We're gonna keep all this in.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep all this in, but just
okay.
To refresh.
So Hottie Highlight. We're back to that.
Yes, Hottie Highlight of the week. You have a choice between. You have 2 choices this week. You have Precious Achewa walking lions in nature,
Yes.
holding them by the tail.
Yes.
Or we have new Raptor, Jamal Shead.
Yeah.
He was playing a game,
Mm-hmm.
and one of his teammates, in frustration, kind of like kicked the trash can,
Mm-hmm.
and all the trash came falling out of the
Yeah.
trash can, and he just walked away. But our Jamal Shead stopped and started picking up the garbage and putting it back in the garbage can. And this is like
Yeah.
an industrial sized large.
Yeah, it's a biggie.
Yeah, this isn't like a tiny, like a tissue
Yeah.
or something. This is a lot of garbage. And, you know, it's good sportsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
showing character that he didn't just
Also,
walk away from it.
side note, I think it's Jamal Shead.
Oh, thank you.
So shout
Jamal
out Jamal.
Shead.
Jamal Shead, yeah.
Yeah.
But continue.
No, these are your choices.
Yeah. It's hard. Okay. On the one hand, you have Precious. What? Question mark? And then on the other hand, you have Jamal, who like, because I was covering draft night and like, you know, he got drafted and it was through a trade and all this stuff. And like, he seems like a very good person,
Mm-hmm.
which like is rare in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, yeah, he's like a good character guy. That video, like I saw that on draft day, like good video. Seems like in his interviews, just like a really good person. So like, I hope that like, you just kind of want to root for those people. I like having a team of basketball players where they're good people. And you don't always get that in the NBA. So yeah, it just like, yeah, I loved that video because it just like shows that he didn't even think about it. Like he just kind of picked up the garbage, wanted to leave the space
probably didn't
away.
even realize he was being filmed at all, or
just like
that.
You know, wanted to leave the space the way that he found it, and also wanted to like that's a big leadership move on a team, which like on a team of young guys, you need like those like people who like have those values and stuff. So yeah, if I were to choose one, it has to be Precious in the Lions. Like that's when are you gonna have that again? When is that gonna be the option again?
For all the summer vacation content that we get from NBA players, I've never seen anything like this. I never will.
Yeah.
This beats everyone.
Yeah. I like seriously have to stare at that video for like a good like 60 seconds and just be like, what am I watching right now? Because you can tell he's like fully out in like the desert, like in the jungle.
He's in a deserty looking jungle.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
I don't know how
those are like real 100% authentic lions. Like those aren't like the watered down.
No, there's no like little tags on their ears. Or
no, like those are real full stop lions, and they look big because that guy's a big guy, and they look normal size next to him. So those are big lions. Like what? I just want to know if this was like a program that he went to, like if this was like part of like a safari package that he like saw, or if he just like found some lions.
I don't know. He wrote in his caption on Instagram, he wrote, "Real killers, but we trying to make your nervous system feel safe."
Maybe it was part of like a therapy program. Like maybe he's at some sort of like self-help retreat, and like that's their like therapy like method.
Like there's an ashram somewhere in the middle of the jungle, and then there's just lions there.
Yeah, like you're doing like cognitive behavioral therapy, like instead of like making you like sit in like a pit of spiders, like they just make you walk with lions, and like it's that's like how
it's an anxiety cure.
Yeah, or like a mental block cure, because you're like trying to get through your mental blocks. That's my theory, is that he's at like a self-help retreat, and like that's what the help is.
Because you're just like, well, if I can walk lions in nature,
yeah,
I can do anything.
Like you can get a bucket, you can, you know, do this, do that. You can calm your, like, I feel like he's trying to like be one with nature in like a therapeutic way.
Yeah.
Also, whoever that therapist is, I need to know where you got certified. As what?
We are absolutely projecting at this point that this is therapy related. We have really we are like, it has to be therapy related.
Yeah. Where my mind goes.
Yeah, we're projecting, but that's fine. Okay, listen, Chelsea, you have inspired an idea for a future episode of this podcast
I love
where we
it.
talk about how we got started, how we
Yeah.
got into this, and some of our crazy former jobs
Mhm.
prior to this one. So let's do that sometime in September. I'll message
Yeah.
you
Let's go.
and yeah, so that will probably be our next episode unless something crazy happens in the
Mhm.
world of basketball. I
Mhm.
think that will be our next episode. So I will continue covering the WNBA on the Pickup WNBA podcast. You can check that out wherever you get podcasts. Myself and Freddie do that every week. Episodes of that come out on Mondays. So, I'm still going to be out here watching basketball and podcasting, but I'll keep my eye on the pulse of NBA news if something comes up that I feel it needs to be covered. But otherwise, I'll be back in September and we'll do a fun banter pod.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Sounds good.
Thank you everyone for listening, for tuning in. Please like this video. I'm supposed to say that at the beginning, but I'm getting better. Like the video, subscribe to Raptors Republic and all that good stuff, and enjoy the rest of your summer. Ooh. All right, see you all soon. Bye.